I jump into this video, I just want to give you a teaser of what is coming. I have stitching, Copic coloring, BetterPressing, shaker cards, card windows, die cutting, embossing, lunar paste, glimmering, and stenciling all in these cards. So be sure to be on the lookout for your favorite. I have a lot to share with you today. Hi, crafty friend. It's me, Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. Happy March. Today is March 1st, which means new clubs for Spellbinders. I'll talk about the products. I'll put a pop a timestamp on the screen here. If you don't want to see me chat about the goodies and you just want to see the making, skip to this time that's on the screen. And let's just begin with some of our good club goodies. I have everything here except the wax seal. That hasn't come to me yet, but I will talk about it very soon here. So let's start off with the embossing folders because I really had my eye on this one. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I like 3D embossing folders. This one is so pretty. It has lots of flowers and it has this really cool texture. And they put the texture, they made it big enough where you could just use that if you're interested, or you can align your card to go down here and you can get some of those florals. You could do a landscape look and have some of these. You could do a slim line. Things are very open with this embossing folder. It's called Floral Fence of Togetherness. So this kind of looks like that chain link fence there. Really cool. I think that chain link could also be used for some masculine cards as well. So, you know, at first glance, this kind of looks like a floral piece, which is kind of girly, but it could be a masculine touch as well. And like I said, this is the 3D, so you know it's going to give amazing texture and dimension. All right, well, let's move on to the next thing I am super excited about, which is the BetterPress of the month. This one is so gorgeous. It's called Quilted Memories. And the stencil of the month coordinates with it. Look at this. So the stencil coordinates with two things, actually. The stencil has 3 stencils that coordinate with the BetterPress. So they kind of, I'll hold it up so you can see with the light there. But there's the floral piece. You could do just those. You could do this as well, but it's the same design as the BetterPress. You could press it out, stencil, you could glimmer, stencil, really cool. Remember, you can glimmer with BetterPress plates. Then with the BetterPress plates, there's 2 different sentiments. There is "You're a true friend" and "Just because I care." And then there is a coordinating die to cut out both of those sentiments. So coordinating die, coordinating stencil, what's more to love? Well, I'll tell you. The stencil of the month. So the stencil is the 3 here and this one. So there's 5 stencils all together. And these 2 coordinate with the embossing folder, the regular embossing folder. So this lines up perfectly with this center spot right here. And it is so gorgeous. The design is adorable and I'm really excited to go ahead and work with that one as well. So the name of this one is called Mosaic Memories. So it kind of all coordinates, and that is my favorite kind of month, when the clubs kind of work together in tandem. So I'm storing my stencils with this BetterPress plate just because I like to keep everything all together. Let's talk about the glimmer and the stamp and die together because they kind of coordinate together. So what I've done here is I've taken the stamp, which this is the stamp for the month. It is all for personalizing cards for different family members. We have daughter, son, mom, dad. And then there's lots of very endearing sentiments that you can add to those. And then there are coordinating dies for all of these little names. And then there is this die, which will cut out all of these and all of these. Adorable. These are going to be really adorable cards, especially with some of the dies that are hiding over here. I can't wait to show you. Anyway, so that's the stamp and die. And then the glimmer this month is this one that says mum, or I feel like I'm saying that so dramatically. mom, and dad. And then there is a coordinating die for cutting those out. Remember, this is the Glimmer. And then there are some sentiments that are glimmered as well with a coordinating die. So glimmer once, cut once, have a ton of these little sentiments. These are really cool. We have to my sister, to my friend, to my brother, you're my hero. Lots of options. So I'm choosing to store all of these together because after this this month of clubs is over, this package right here is going to live on my desk. A lot of times people will ask me to make cards, like specialty cards for family members or whatnot, and I think that these sentiments are perfect for making endearing and loving cards. So that's fabulous. Not to mention, can't forget to mention the Glimmer. This one is Aura. This is one of my favorite colors. It's kind of a gold and a rainbow depending on how you look at it. This one looks stunning on white, and it's a very good one to have in your stash. Before we move on, I'll just mention that the name of these, this clear Stampin' Die is called Nearest and Dearest. Then the Glimmer one is called We Are All Family. Next, let's talk about the stitching die of the month. This one is really adorable, and it's perfect for making different style cards that have kind of like that plaid or argyle kind of look. So this is called the Diamond Knit stitching die. It's one of those that's going to cover an A2 size card really nicely. And then it has a whole bunch of stitching here. I will talk about how to stitch this later in this video, so stay tuned. And then we have two sentiments that are kind of like the punch and pierce style that say, you inspire me and cheers to you. The next club I will highlight is the die of the month. And then I also paired, this is the small die of the month. This is the free item that comes when you get the caboodle. So it is sentiments that coordinate with some of these. So the small die here, it makes some fishing style cards, some golf style cards. It is perfect for Father's Day, which is coming on up, and Mother's Day. If the father or mother you're giving a card to enjoys golfing or fishing. It's called Fairways and Fishtails. So you can build a little scene there, like two people were fishing on a dock. And then this is the sentiments that go with this. This is called Fairways and Fishtails sentiment. Again, this is a BetterPress plate, so you can press it and die cut it, or you can Glimmer and die cut it. So super fun, and I think you could even pair these sentiments with the other sentiments. So if you wanted to make a card for your dad or your son or your mother or your daughter, you could make the stamp that is like daughter, real in the good life. If you wanted to make like a fishing card for a daughter, a mom, a dad, a son, etc. So this is going to be really fun, and you could even pair some of these golf elements with the game day collection items that were from my collection. Last but not least, I have, not last but not least, next I have the large die of the month, and I use two different magnets for this because there's quite a lot of dies, which is typical for the large die. There is a little arch here, and then you can choose to make a dinosaur or a little puppy dog that's kind of like a basset hound style dog. This whole set is called Family and Friends Vignette. And then there are some really great florals here. So I separated them out by characters over here, florals, and a shape. You can make little add-ons to go with these animals. So like the little dinosaur has a tutu skirt, the dog has some slippers, a bone. You could do the hat on either one. They're just really sweet and endearing. And then these great florals, I really like these two flowers. I think they are such nice standout flowers. So you can take this arch and make a little flower scene. You could do a dog in there, put the dinosaur in there. Is it a dinosaur or an alligator? Now I am second guessing myself. You know what? I'm looking at it. I think it could be either, but it kind of looks a little bit more like a dinosaur. There's no rules in crafting, remember? So I'm going to have lots of fun with this one. And then now I will talk about, last but not least, the wax seal. Now I don't have the wax seal right now in front of me, but I will put a picture on the screen of what it looks like. It is called Patterned Perfection, and to me it looks similar to like a quilty pattern, and I think it would go well with a lot of the club items for this month. Here, I'm going to turn this light off so we don't have so much glare. Then with the wax seal, similar to the Glimmer, there's a little free item that comes with that. Sometimes it's a tool like wax seal storage, sometimes it's a whole pack of beads. It just depends on the month. And right now it's telling me that that will be a must-have mix of different waxes, but it could be changing by the time this video goes up, but that's what I know as of now. So enough of the chit chat, let's get to crafting. This is just a little bit of a teaser to show you what is to come. I have so many cards to show you. Be on the lookout for your favorite and let me know in the comments at the end of the video. This is going to be a long one, so strap in, grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's get to crafting. I'm so excited to show you these. I'm going to dive head first right into glimmering. I am so excited to use this BetterPress plate to glimmer. I'm going to use Prism first of all. I'm going to use the hinge method right away. If you've never watched me do glimmering or noticed the hinge method, I learned it from the Spellbinders bootcamp. I'll have that linked in the description if you want to check out how I learned how to glimmer, basically. So this is sped up, just so you know, but check out the peel and reveal with this Prism. Better believe that I'm going to save my extra foils here, and I'm going to use my full glimmer plate in the next few weeks and make some stunning cards. But I just could not stop playing with it, but just imagine that, fully glimmered. I'm so excited. This BetterPress plate is one of my absolute favorites for the new year. I know it's just March here in my craft room, but I really, really like this one. Remember, it's called Quilted Memories. Now I'm going to use gold and I'm going to glimmer onto some green. I wanted to make some kind of rich, kind of bold colored congratulations style cards. So I just really can't help myself with this plate. I glimmered it so much. I BetterPress it so much. So just hopefully you like it too, because we're going to be using it quite a lot. Now you might have noticed the length of this video is very, very long because I was entirely inspired by this month. So hope you're comfortable, you've grabbed a snack, and let's start stenciling with this one, shall we? Now I use my stamp wheel from Altenew because it has a little sticky mat underneath whenever I stencil, or most times when I stencil, I should say, and I just love it. So I'm going to use some Simon Hurley inks and use Later Gator first. If you've watched some of my videos, you know I love Later Gator. It's such a vibrant and bright green. And I'm going to make a spring little happy card with this one and pull out some stitching elements as well. My next layer, I'm going to use Shooting Star, a very bright, happy yellow. This yellow made me so I don't know, it just made me smile every time I looked at it. Now for my third layer, I'm going to use Guppy, which is a very pretty orange. It's not a gross orange, you know what I mean? There's some gross oranges out there, and Guppy is a pretty orange. Peel and reveal. I love it. Look at that gold glimmer shining through. I can't even believe it. All right, you've noticed my little stitched M by now, I'm assuming. That was from the Stitched Alphabet. I will have that linked in my description as well. I have lots of videos with stitching on my channel. I'd love to have some more, but sometimes my time kind of runs out. So I'm going to pull some stitching elements from my stash into some club videos. Just for you crafters out there who love stitching, who watched my earlier videos. And I'm going to use this little M. I might give it to a special friend. Hint, hint, hint. And I'll just adorn it with some gems, and we'll move on to my next one. Now this BetterPress plate that I glimmered was with the light blue glimmer, and I'm going to use some Simon Hurley paste here, the lunar paste. So fun to use. I can't even believe it, how fun it is. And I just love the dimension and the texture it gives. I'm going to use my Ulta New stamping wheel again, get a little messy, no biggie, it's fine. And this is just, look at that peel and reveal. This is one of my favorite cards. I know, I always say it's one of my favorites, but it's like, how do you pick a favorite? I don't know. If you can pick a favorite though, I would love your opinions in the comments. I love seeing them and like seeing what people like. It's just kind of fun. Now this BetterPress plate looks stunning with glimmering and pressing, but it also looks great with embellishments. So add a little embellishment to yours if you use it. Now I'm going to use the 3D embossing folder of the month. I was totally inspired to make a slimline style card. So just so you know, the Spellbinders 3D embossing folders are perfect for slimline cards as well. Look at that. Just literally just that on a card with a sentiment could be perfect. It gives that white look. There's lots of dimension. I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to like pet it for whatever reason. But the dimension on these 3D embossing folders is unmatched. Now I'm going to take some of my Copic markers and color right on top of all of the raised areas for the flowers and the leaves. So I'll just pop my little caps up so you can see what colors I'm using if you want to recreate this. But this is such a relaxing way to craft using your Copic markers and embossing folders. It looks so stunning at the end, so just wait. This is one of my favorite green combinations with that YG03. Now I'm going to take YR24 and just do little speckles and dots right on top of the centers of the flowers. And this is just going to give a little bit of texture. I am not paying attention to any of the raised dots. I'm just making dots because once I put my next color over it, it kind of bleeds and blends, which is a look I was going for. And I think I would drive myself absolutely bonkers crazy if I was putting on every single teeny dot. But if that's the way you want to craft, I totally support you. All right, let's move on to my next color, which is Y15. And this just gives a little bit of a blend, and it's really going to make the centers of these flowers pop. You might notice on the side that I have some reds coming up. And I'm going to use my favorite red combination, which is R39 and R29. These are my favorite reds, and I just use them to make a bingo board card for Pajama Crafter stamps. So if you'd like to check out that video, you certainly can on the Pajama Crafter Stamps YouTube channel. I'm on their design team, and I have lots of fun cards that I've made with their stuff. So if you haven't checked out Pajama Crafter Stamps, make sure that you do. They're a great company and they're a small business, and I love supporting small businesses, and I love supporting crafty companies because that's what we need around here. Less chains, more small businesses, you know? All right, let's go in with my little red color here. Once again, this is R29. I'm sorry, my light is hitting that cap perfectly. Go figure, but it is R29. Anyway, anytime I'm making those little dark red flecks, I like to move my card all around because when I'm flecking the Copic, whatever, the Copic marker, I like to go in line with the flower. Now I'm adding this really cute sentiment. This was Glimmered. It's a BetterPress sentiment from Susan Tierney Coburn's collection that she put out last year, and I thought that it was a perfect addition to this card. Yes, I made a little smiley with my glue because why not have fun when you're crafting? Now this slimline card, I'm assuming I'm going to use for a wedding coming up this summer. We have lots of weddings to go to, so it's a great size if you're giving someone a check or cash. So I think that this size is great for gifting. Let's move on and get messy. I'm going to make a few different mixed media style cards in this video. So this is my first one. I'm going to just spray it down and use my 3D embossing folder again. I'm starting with brown paper. This will just save me a little bit of ink. If you start with white, it kind of It takes more ink to get to that dark tone, but just look at that. As it is, it would be amazing, but let's make it even more funky monkey and get some fun textures going. I'm using Vintage Photo, which is a distress ink. This is one of my favorite inks that I have in my craft room because it just makes everything look vintage without looking gross. I hope that makes sense and I'm conveying that well, but sometimes when things look vintage, it just looks dirty. But this is more like elegant vintage, elevated vintage, if you will. And we're just smushing it all around, getting some dark spots, some light spots. I'm going to have my sentiment kind of mid-center on the top, so I'm not going to really waste too much ink there with adding more ink to the center. Now we're using lunar paste again. I have not every lunar paste, but I have most of them in my craft room. So the one I'm using right now on camera is called Minty Fresh. It is definitely toothpaste inspired, but it looks really good with brown. At least I think so. So I'm just using my finger once again and smushing it all around. By the way, the color I used for that BetterPress plate that was glimmered was called Midnight Snack. That's that dark blue one that I used before. And we're just gonna smush it all around. To clean it up from my surface, I'm just gonna use water and a rag, no biggie. And then when I wash my hands, it will come clean. Then I'm gonna use Tropical Tango kind of over that, just building more dimension and color layers to it. Every time I use lunar paste with 3D embossing folders, it just looks so good. Now I did smush a little heavy-handed, so I did re-emboss my piece, and it looks even more amazing the second time I embossed it to keep all that dimension there. Now I'm going to use a light goldish color, and it is called Slippery When Wet. And I'm just smushing around the centers of the flowers, just kind of giving it a little bit of some life inside. It's okay if it's going on the petals. It just kind of almost illuminates the petals. I just love lunar paste. I think it is so cool. Okay, now this is kind of wet-ish, so it needs to go to the side to dry. But before I do that, I'm going to use these new watercolor pans that I have from Spellbinders here. And now there is indigo, and there's a white and a gold. So I'll wake up the watercolors by just giving it 2 sprays. This is going to get messy, so if you do this, just know it's not a clean situation. I'm also going to use my brush also from Spellbinders. It's indigo, so it's kind of a blacky blue. Super pretty. Get my brush all full, do a little test splat. Looking good. Clean it up. And splat, splat, splat. Usually I tap it on with another pencil, but this brush is really full of water and ink, so it's going to be just fine as it is. I'll do the tapping with my next color just to show you. But again, this is going to get messy, so beware. I'll give that a little bit of a cleanup, and then we'll move on and use the white one. Look how easy it is to clean. I just love glass mats, you know? Okay. Now I'm going to go, oh, never mind. I'm going to use the white with my other card. I'm going to make some texture with some embossing, with some floss. And I just did that by making a little nest of thread, and then we're going to glue this sentiment right on top of it all. And then this sentiment is one that I've had in my stash. It was a pre-made one from Spellbinders from one of the fall, I don't know if it was a club actually. It was just a fall collection that they put out. I'm going to add these really funky green embellishments, and I think that this is so fun, super different and unique for maybe a graduation card, a wedding card. I just have to put it on a card base now, but it is just full of texture, and it's going to make someone look at it quite a bit when they get it. At least I think I would. And anytime you have the embossing folder, people want to touch it. I don't know why, but it's a thing. Okay, let's go ahead and start with my next card. And I'm in the wedding card mood. Like I said, I have a lot of weddings coming up this year. It's just one of those years. And I'm going to make a DIY shaker window. To do that, I'm using a die from Spellbinders that was from the Simple Vintage Flower Shop from Simple Stories. I'm using the scallop journal cards. Then I'm going to put some acetate behind this by just gluing it on. The acetate that I'm using was actually sold for wrapping and decorating cakes, but you know what? It works and it is super cheap. So I grabbed a roll of that from Amazon like a year ago and I still have it. Then I'm going to make a little nest or a little bowl, if you will, for my little shaker bits to go into, and then layer all of my foam on the back. If you have any questions regarding this or anything that I'm showing here today, please let me know in the comments. I have lots of videos on my channel about shaker cards, so if that is something that catches your fancy, let me know, and I just love how fun that is. Oh, the little shaker bits, by the way, some are from Pink and Main, some of them are from Spellbinders. They're just whatever I had in my stash, which is, I love making things from my stash. It just makes me happy when I get to use what I have and make something beautiful. Then the So Happy For You was another sentiment I had in my stash. I think it's from one of the Glimmer clubs last year. I will have everything linked in the description. So if you're looking for something that I'm using, just check it out. I have a visual supply list, so you can click on it and you'll see. And if you use any of my links below, it helps me. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and I really appreciate it. Now I'm going to adorn this with the little flowers from the large die and some bling bling. I love nesting a jewel inside a sequin. I think that is so fun. Now, I'm so excited about this. I use the clouds from the On the Farm landscape edges, which is with acetate again. I just used a scrap, and now I'm making myself my own stencil. Look at this. I'm going to make some clouds using some Clear Sky inks from Simon Hurley. I'll just rotate it as I go down. I just love making my own little stencils every once in a while, and I thought I would show you here today on camera how I did that. How fun is that? Now I had some cloud dies in my stash, but I wanted to demonstrate how you can use a die to make your own stencils. It can kind of save you a little bit of money, so you don't have to buy a cloud stencil. If you have a cloud die, you could do this similar thing with maybe some grass or a hillside and create a one layer beautiful background. And all you need is a little piece of acetate and you can reuse that little sucker lots of times. So just give it a little wash and you're good to go. Then I'm going to use the grass piece, also from that Landscape Edges die set. Look at this paper, you guys. This was one of those papers that I wanted to hoard in my craft room, and I actually have been hoarding this in my craft room because it is so pretty, and I got it from my craft store that closed last year, so I know I can't really get any more of it. I did find some from Lawn Fawn that is very similar, so I'll link that in my visual supply list, but look how fun that looks with the fence. That's the 3D embossing folder again, just looking fabulous. I think that is so cool. There's so much texture, and I want you, if I could, I would give you that card to feel because the texture is so cool. All right, let's put my little dinosaur together. I've decided this is definitely a dinosaur, not an alligator, because of the head shape. So if that was bothering you from before, sorry, but yeah, it's a dinosaur. Then I'm gonna glue a little bit of white behind the head. This will act as my little white spot for my eyeball. I'll go in with just a basic pen to the little part that makes the eye. Super cute. Now this hat is super cute as well, but I'm not going to use it. I didn't really think it fit well on this dinosaur for this card. I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me, but I will use that hat sometime else, sometime in the future, I guess, in my craft room. And I did pull in some fun sentiments for this one. The How Do I Love You, oopsie, glue everywhere. The How Do I Love You is from the Winnie the Pooh set. Yes, I just used my shirt to clean that up. Whatever. And then the To My Brother is from this month's clubs. we'll pop that up and layer my whole card front onto some black cardstock. And bada bing, bada boom, we have a brother card. You could switch up the sentiment and make it to my son, to my grandson, whatever you're feeling. There's options, people. All right, let's go girly. I'm going to make a little pop-up window. So I'm going to first use that large nesting die from the large die and die cut out through that BetterPress panel, through my pink cardstock, and then through my card base. I'm going to line it up so everything fits so perfectly. Just add my little tape there and run it through my die cutting machine open. So that gave me a window, and we'll just layer those on and then layer on my BetterPress panel that I have glimmered in pink and stenciled with pink ink. Oof, I love this folder, this press plate. I think it is so stunning. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of glitter cardstock in the center and just push down. Now this card made me so happy because I know exactly who this is going to. A very sweet little girl, and this is gonna be her birthday card, and her birthday's in May. So this is gonna go to my sweet little person. And I'm making this a ballerina dinosaur because she is obsessed with pink, and dinosaurs are kind of fun and funky for young kiddos, and I think she's going to just love this card. So we're making her a princess ballerina, and I had to add a little happy smile because how cute is the smile? Oh, and then I had to go over the top and add some bling because she is a girly girl to the core. So I'm adding some embellishments from Pajama Crafter Stamps. These ones are tickled pink, and I'm putting them on top of the crown and on top of some sequins. I just love how fun and girly this card has turned out. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. And if you are watching all the way through or about halfway, go ahead and hit the like button if anything has been inspiring or if you've liked anything so far. It definitely helps out my channel. All right, who let the dogs out? We're making a little dog card now. And this little doggy is also from the large die. And this is going to be an encouragement card. So I'm layering on the white and the black for the nose and the eyes. And then I'm going to layer on the top piece of the head, which gives the sweet little doggy his ears. Oh, he's so cute. Now you have an option to add a little tongue. And of course I had to do a little tongue there. I die cut it out in white and added some pink Copic to it. I think I used R20, which is my go-to for adding warmth to cheeks, adding color to mouths or tongues, or centers of ears as well. I'll add a little dot on the eye. It looks like he's looking up, and a little bit of white gel pen on the eyes and the nose to make him look like he's got a little shiny wet nose. Oh, so cute. I love him. All right, this little doggy does not need to be floating out into space. He needs a little bit of ground. So I'm going to grab some Distress ink, that vintage photo once again. And just by adding a little bit of smudge, it looks like he has a little ground to sit on, and it looks just so much more finished and less like he's floating out into outer space. Then every little doggy needs a bone. So we're going to give him a little bone. We'll put it on the side there. I thought about putting it in his mouth, so that is an option as well. Then I have my sentiments through thick and thin, my lifelong friend, and that is a encouragement card, perfect for a friend. My pattern paper there is from Love from Lizzie from like 3 years ago. And I've been hoarding it, and now that's a perfect card to use it on. Now I'm going to use this die. This is from the Classic Pooh collection. It's called Memory Frames, and it looks like a very sweet little picture. And we're going to make a picture card, and I'm not going to use the thanks or to my friend, so that is just part of my process. Sometimes I'll have an idea and plans change, you know? So if you're wondering where that thanks came from, it was from last fall's one of the Glimmer kits. I will link it in the description just in case it catches your fancy. I'll use that grass from the landscape dies again and just make a little background for my golfing card. This is going to be a retirement card, I've decided. And then we're going to put the golf club. I'm going to fish it through the hole so it looks like it is part of the picture. And then I'll just lop off the extras. It's going to look like this golf club is putting into the hole. And then I grab some light blue from my stash and I'll add that to my sky. Super fun. I like this little frame. I think it is fun to make little scenes with it. And it's one that will live on my desk in my go-to dies because I can use it with so many different things. So I'm excited to add another goodie to my go-to die basket. Just chop it off with my Spellbinders shears. These are super sharp, so they're perfect for cutting. All right, I'm gonna add some foam. Now I have 3 different layers. I want it to lay flat, so I'm using a full panel of foam. That's just what my Crafty heart said to do at the time, so I just did it. It sounds so like whatever, but that's how it happened. And then I'm using the 3D embossing folder again, that textured fence look, for a very fun but dramatic background. Lots of texture. I'm going to pop up the sentiment, Happy Retirement. That is linked in the description as well. Look at that. How fun is that? It's kind of a clean and simple card, even though it isn't white and boring, but to me, it looks cute. All right. The Glimmer is back again. The BetterPress set is back. I'm going to put some vellum over the top using the arch from the large die. I told you I really liked these clubs, and I really mean it. We're going to make a floral scene on top of my flower, on top of the vellum. Now, the sentiment originally said, toasting to love, laughter, and happily ever after. But this isn't really a card that has like a drink on it. This came from the collection that Spellbinders released last year. So it had kind of like the drinks or the drinking elements to it. And I just wanted it to say to love, laughter, and happily ever after because it has the flowers. So I carefully cut out the word toasting. And now I can use this sentiment in another way. So I just would love to encourage you to use your stuff in different ways. Cut things if you want, add things together if you want, and just make it your own. There is no rules for how you can use your own supplies in your craft room. So if you need to cut or modify, do it. I'm telling you, you're going to stretch your supplies. You're going to save some time and money. Also, it is super satisfying to use your stuff in different ways. It's like you're getting a little extra bonus with your items. Now these flowers are so darling, and I'm excited to use them with some of the other goodies that are coming out this month. I'll use some press and seal. Is that what it's called? I'm like now, yeah, press and seal from Glad. Sounded odd to me, whatever. This is going to give my flowers the perfect position and keep the perfect position as I glue them on. It is so fast and easy to do. I would just be very cautious if you use the press and seal on the gold mirror cardstock like I did. Just be careful not to push it too hard. It does leave some sticky residue sometimes, and it will lift Glimmer, so buyer beware. I'm using more pink rhinestones and more pink gems, again from Pajama Crafter Stamps, called a Tickled Pink. If things are on my desk, I'll probably use them on multiple cards, so that's just how that goes. But I really love how sweet and girly this is, and I think it is perfect for a wedding or a wedding shower. I'm ready to have some people get married this summer. All right, Mom, if you're watching, turn this video off or skip ahead because this is going to be my mom's birthday card. Actually, you know what? By the time this video goes up, her birthday will be over. So, hi, Mom, you can stay. I'm going to show you a few different ways that I can stitch with this stitching of the month subscription, and it will be used in 3 different cards. So I'm going to use it first in this birthday card for my amazing mom, and then we're going to make a golf one. we're also going to make a retirement card. Another retirement card, you know? Why not? I'll just grab this tape off of my project here and we will jump right in. I'm going to get nice and close when I show you stitching tips and tricks. I have lots of videos on my channel regarding stitching. I'm just going to tape the tail down right here. We're going to go back and forth and just make straight stitches. Now I have a whole playlist on my channel, which is kind of a mega 2-part video that is all about stitching, and I give tips and tricks and my thoughts and opinions on different products regarding stitching. So if you haven't watched my Stitching 101 playlist, I highly recommend you check that out. And if you are interested in stitching, check out more stitching videos I've done on my channel. I have lots of fun ones for you. A couple years ago, I think last year, Spellbinders really had a lot of stitching products coming out, so I featured, I think, almost every dye. So I told you I loved them. It's so relaxing to stitch. I recommend it for anyone who is able to stitch. If you are a card maker, you got to try it. Like I said, I'm just doing straight stitches, just going back and forth. And I'm just going to go over every time to the next hole. It's just going to save me a little bit of thread, but you could certainly go back and forth diagonally. Now this is going to give an argyle look. So you'll start to see a little argyle moment starting to happen here. Kind of looks like a waffle, but it is super cute. Back and forth. And it kind of creates this little square. Now, I like to use my supplies and stretch things as much as I can. So you can make this waffle pattern, which is what I'm going to do on all 3 of my cards, or you can do it another way. Let's just skip up to maybe the mid part and let's try doing this stitching a different way. So I'll just move my thread up. I'm going to end up taking out some of these because I don't end up using all of these different stitches on the same card, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Now, this is another way. We're just going to go straight across on the dotted lines. This just gives another way to use the items. I think if you did this, you'd have to kind of think about how you're going to finish off the edges on the sides. It just kind of affects things a little bit differently. I am using the metallic thread from DMC on this card, so if the waffle to you is looking a little bit wibbly wobbly or kind of wonky, the lines aren't perfectly straight, just use regular DMC thread, not the metallic one, and it will lay much straighter. To me, it's fine and it looks really cute, but if it bothers you, I just wanted to mention it. So there's the straight stitch, the waffle stitch, and let's do kind of like a starburst one on this one. I'm going to go diagonal on my square here and go across and over. And this is going to make a fun little starburst. Lots of texture when you do this. So I'm just going across every time. So that's the second hole. Now the second on the bottom left. We'll go up and then down on the second on the top right. And just continue that pattern across. Really kind of funky. But again, I like to make my supplies go far and not waste any of my stuff. So if I can try doing certain things or try a different stitch every once in a while, I'm going to do it, because what's the harm in trying out a funky stitch? So what if you don't like it? Just take it out. It's not a big deal. Or you might like it, and then you have something different and unique. Now I'm just going to fuss with the middle a little bit so it gets kind of orderly. But how fun is that? Pop a gem in the center, and who cares if the center is straight? It's lovely. All right, I've gone ahead and stitched some more projects with this die. So we're going to come back to Mom's birthday card in a bit. But how fun is this? I really like it. Now, here I am going to be gluing on my project, and I'm going to show you how I glue this die on with the green golf card. I'm going to go around the center. I'm using liquid glue. I find this to be a great way to adhere anything that has the thread to paper. And I'm going to go around the center because my center of my background is cut out. Otherwise, I would be putting glue all over. But I don't know, a little bit of glue is fine on this. And then we will line it up. And then I'm going to carefully press around the edge and just kind of give it a good seal. Another fun way to use this die would to be adding some foam to the back. You can get a lot of shadows and textures with this die because all of those little squares are cut out. Super fun. Now I popped the arch over the center so no one even knows that the center was missing. And then I'm going to add some golf balls and then the sentiment, Dad, you inspire me. And I have glimmered those from the Glimmering Club. Now my dad does like golfing, but this will not be his Father's Day card. So Dad, if you're watching, that's fine. Sometimes my parents do pop in and watch my videos. I have amazing parents, so just figured I would mention that. How fun is that golf club with that silver brushed cardstock? So fun and shiny. I have that cardstock linked in the description as well. I love specialty cardstocks, and the silver, gold, and rose gold packs from Spellbinders are so fun to work with. All right, I love America. I just do. And I'm American, so it is what it is. I'm patriotic. What can I say? And I'm going to glue this on to my background and make a fun little American retirement card. Now, I don't have the person in mind who this is going to yet. This one will probably end up at the coffee shop in our area. We do have lots of veterans, so I think that this would be a fun one to give a veteran. Now, I've added really fun embellishments to the centers of these flowers from Buttons Galore and More. It's called Fireworks. So I will just pop all these little fun embellishments all over the card on all the little glue dots and the centers of the flowers. And this makes a really fun card. Now that little happy retirement came from February's release. Back to Mom's birthday card. I'm going to glue on these flowers from the large die, and I'm also going to kind of pinch some of the leaves, or the petals actually, so they look a little bit more 3D-ish, and I think that this is a really fun way to add texture and dimension to projects, as well as adding some foam there like I did to this flower. It makes a very fun 3D effect. I know that I'm going to be delivering this birthday card to my mom when she comes back from their trip to Florida, enjoying some warm weather for me. And then I can use one of the little boxes from Spellbinders. I will link those in the description as well. I don't have a picture of them right now, but I have some in my craft room. And I use them when I give out cards that have more of a 3D look to them. And I don't want to smush any of the flowers. And I just want the card to be in its 3D glory, if you will. And it's kind of like a little gift box, but it has a window. So if you wanted to still like wrap a present and put the card on top, it would be a great way to showcase the card as well as not smush the card. Then I'm going to add the sentiments Mom and Happy Birthday. So it says Happy Birthday, Mom. And I've glimmered both of them. The Mom was glimmered with white glimmer, and the Happy Birthday was glimmered with white cardstock and gold foil. Just make sure everything's good and straight. Adding a bunch of embellishments because, like I said, this will be hand delivered. So let's just go all sorts of crazy and make all sorts of bumps and lumps for this card to be a wow card for my sweet mom. By the way, if you glue a rhinestone to the top of your picker, you won't have to fuss around with what side is your picker and what side is your pokey part. Now, I did pop up the flowers on the Happy Retirement card as well, so there's a look at both of those just with some wiggles, and I think I was just looking at all the glitter, to be honest. All right, I told you that we were going to get more mixed media-ish this month, so here we are again with some fun mixed media going on. I have some Distress Oxides I'm spraying and smushing, and I'm just having so much fun, and my hands are going to get really dirty, so just prepare for that. This would be so cool just as that is, if I just left it alone and then let it dry, or made it dry with my heat gun and then use that BetterPress of the month on here. This is a really cool way to get some fun backgrounds for your projects. Now I'm going to add some more blue and just really smush it all on. I am using watercolor paper from Spellbinders. It's kind of an off-white, so anytime I use full backgrounds where I don't need it to be like that stark porcelain perfect white, I like to use my watercolor paper that is more of like a cream, because it really doesn't matter once color's over it. Oh man, my hands are getting full of Distress Oxides. But that's okay. I'm having quite a fun time. Adding more blue, smushing, and just getting everything covered. Trying to get all the corners looking fabulous. And we're just going to get even more hands-on. And add more blue. All right, I'm going to take my heat gun and dry this because I want to add some of that pretty shimmer that is that watercolor splatter style. So I'm going to use my heat gun and dry it. If you don't have a heat gun and you want to recreate this, all you need to do is just be patient and let it dry. Although sometimes I do that, today is not one of those days, and you can always make things dry with careful heat gunning. Remember, it is a hot tool, so be careful if you use a heat gun. It does warp the paper a little bit, but if you flip it over every once in a while, it does help with the warping. I eventually am having some really big plans for this card, so it doesn't matter if it's warped a little bit now. I'm going to eventually have it be nice and flat with some liquid glue. So no problemo. All right, let's get to the splattering part of this card. I love using this new white splatter to my craft room, new to me anyway. I'll just give this a quick cleanup. I just kept this in the video so you can see how easy it is to clean with glass mats. Mine is a bit of a all-purpose glass mat, if you will. And I'll just tap some of that on. And I am going to use the white and indigo. So I'm going to use that indigo that I used on my first mixed media style card as well. This almost creates a fun little galaxy moment. If you watch some of my videos earlier this year, I've posted quite a few of the galaxy style cards. So if you're interested in seeing how I make galaxy backgrounds, check out some videos that I've put up already. There we have it with that indigo background. Now we'll let that dry. I have washed my hands, but now they are still covered in Distress ink, and I do have some splatters on my hands, so clearly I did not wash the tops of my hands as well as I could, but whatever. All right, we're gonna make a fun Father's Day card with these two fishermen. I'll assemble the first one with you so you can kind of see the layers. The head, the hair, the hat. It's really simple to assemble these little guys, and they make such a fun scene card here. And we'll just glue on the neck, and ta-da, we have a whole person all done. Shoes, pants, shirt, head. Really simple. And the little toolbox is even more simple, just 2 pieces. Then for the dock, I have 3 little pillars and then the dock piece. Now in Minnesota, we call this the dock. Some people call it the deck in other places, so I'm just going to call it a dock because that's what we call it in Minnesota. And it's always an event putting the dock in and out in the winter, or for the winter and for the summer. So anyway, we're just going to glue that on. I'm using the little landscape die from that landscape die pack that I was using before for the clouds and the grass. There's one that's kind of a wave No, wait a minute. That wave is from the large die. Never mind. It's from the large die of the month. We're going to make these two fishermen fishing. I made one to look a little older than the other with some gray hair. I thought that would be really fun to make a card. I might use this card for my dad. I don't know. So, Dad, I'm sorry if you're watching this. Just act surprised later. Or just forget. June is far away. All right. Now, these fishermen have two poles that they are fishing from. One is going to have a hook and one is going to have a really cool fish. So the hook I have die cut out with some silver mirror cardstock, and I will just attach that to my pole here with some liquid glue. I am cutting the die, like I said before in the video. If something isn't working for you, cut it and modify it and make it perfect for what you want. I just wanted it not to get lost behind the toolbox there. Okay, for my little fish, I'm going to use some Copic markers and some white cardstock and make this fish look like a real fish. I had a fish in mind, and then I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to make this look like a rainbow trout. LOL. It doesn't look like a rainbow trout. Spoiler alert. I just picked that because my dad and my husband do like to fish for rainbow trouts, but there's definitely lots of other fish. And I guess this is just the fish that I had in my brain, so it just looks like a natural fish. As opposed to a fake fish. Good grief. Anyway, I have just added color all over. And then I'm going to add little white dots with the colorless blender, and this just gives little speckles. This thing is teeny tiny. It looks more realistic though with those little speckles, so that's why I added the speckles. And then I'll add some glue behind the eye and a scrap of some white paper, and that will be the back part for my little fish eye. And then I'm going to add just a little dot with a black pen, nothing fancy. And that will go on the dad pole. Now, if you've ever gone fishing, you know that when you go fishing, water is dripping all over. So I'm going to add some water under the fish in just a minute here. Now, my sentiment, I figured looked better in the inside, and I thought that it was kind of cute that it says, it's so much more friendly with two. If my husband were to give this card to my dad for Father's Day, I thought it would be kind of fun because it just kind of works for the sentiment. But I am kicking myself a little bit because the BetterPress set has a lot of fun sentiments that could have gone with this card. So perhaps I need to make more fishing cards and use those sentiments up. But I, for whatever reason, wasn't thinking about it and didn't. Now I'm going to add some glue here, and you're probably wondering, what are you doing, girl? I'm making water drops. So I'm dragging my pokey part of my little tool there along the glue so it looks like little drops of water. Because when a fish comes out of the water, it is soaking wet. I didn't add the bucket because how my dad and husband like to fish in Minnesota is catch and release, so that they wouldn't have a bucket. So catch a fish, put it back. Get back to the nature, you know. There's a close-up of what it looked like when it was all dry. Just kind of fun water effects. If you have glossy accents, that would work as well. For whatever reason, I can't find my glossy accents in my craft room ever since I moved back into my craft room. So I probably need just to grab some more. I'm sure I'll find it then if I bring more in. Anyway, now this is the part of the stencil that coordinates with the regular embossing folder. And I love the new Lisa Horton inks that I brought into my craft room. This is the Silver Shine. It's one of the limited edition ones, so it is silver. And I'm adding it to this stencil. It's going to be so gorgeous. And then I'm going to add another color from Lisa Horton and make a very fun panel. Now, spoiler alert, I actually don't use this panel to make a card in this video. I know, crazy, isn't it? Very unlike me. But I have plans for this panel that I'm making. So if you want to see what I do with this panel, make sure that you subscribe and come back to my channel in a few weeks. And I'm going to use this for a special die that is a very big die. Oh, look at this. This is so pretty. Mermaid Lagoon Shimmer. It is a blue, green, purpley, teal, beautiful ink. So cool. Remember, this is a pigment ink and it is the interference stuff. So it has that shimmery to it. So fun. So fun. Just really packing it all on with my little dauber. I pulled out my daubers. I have not used my daubers in probably 2 years in my craft room because I've used brushes, but with these interference inks, I don't want to get the sparkly on my brushes, so I'm using these little daubers, and now I have the little pads all full of this ink, so now I will be encouraged to use these more in my craft room, I'm certain. Oh, I'm just so excited to show you what I do with this. Let's just say it turns into a coin purse makeup bag question mark. You'll see later. If you look at the coming soon section in the description where I have like shop new items at Spellbinders, you're going to see it in there. I'm so bad with secrets, you guys. I don't know. I can't keep a secret. Anyway, check out the peel and reveal here as I finish up adding the rest of my ink. It's so satisfying to do peel and reveals. Oh, I wish you could see it in person. Look at the purple shimmer that it gives to that. I'll just pop it off my stamp wheel and then give you a close-up. Sometimes I just wonder what I'm thinking when I'm filming. Alrighty, back to the BetterPress plate. I'm obsessed with this one. I can't stop using it. I'm a BetterPress babe. Are you a BetterPress babe? If you want to be a BetterPress babe, join the Facebook group BetterPress Babes on Facebook. That is a group that Melanie Smith and I are the founders of, and we love the BetterPress Babes. This first one I'm doing without ink. So I'm going to use this in a future project with some watercolors. So it is completely inkless. Now I'm making a whole bunch of panels here, but I wanted to show it in the video because I want you to see how many different ways you can use this press plate. So the next way I'm going to use it is using 3 different colors. I always start with my lightest and go from light to dark because dark goes into light. So I'm using Cruise, Teal Topaz, and Spruce and just making my way down the press plate with these 3 colors that coordinate. Remember that you can use any ink on a BetterPress plate. You do not have to use the BetterPress ink. I happen to be using it because I like how quickly it dries and I like these colors. I'm also using BetterPress paper, but remember, you don't have to use BetterPress paper to BetterPress. I'm using the porcelain white, which is that beautiful cotton cardstock. It's going to give me a deep impression and it's going to give me more of an impression than using just regular cardstock. And that gave me a fun ombre look. This is going to be another fun wedding card. Coming on up. Look how fast it dries. It just blows my mind. I love it. All right, my next one, I'm going to use hydrangea. And I'm using this all over my plate. And you might be wondering, what? Your plate was just covered in ink. How did you clean it? Well, I will tell you, I used LDRS Extreme Clean Cleaner. That is from LDRS Creative, and if you use my friend Melanie's code, Melanie15, you will get 15% off of that cleaner. It is the best. This panel, again, I'm going to use later this month in a upcoming collection. So goodbye, little panel, and see you later. Ta-da, my plate is clean again. Can you even? Look how clean that is. I love it. All right, I'm going to use this little technique that I like to do when I have a full panel that I do not want any of the impression to come off of. So I'm using 2 little tape rolls and there it is, that little panel that I used watercolors and the splattering on, and I'll just push it down. And I use that paper because my hands were a little bit sweaty, ew, but sweat from your hands can activate the watercolor. So I just figured I would use a little paper there. Now I'm using Spruce. And this is going to be a fun extra texture on my panel. Now this watercolor paper does press out very well, so there will be some texture as well as ink going on to my card base here. Running it through my platinum off camera like usual. And there it is. Look how fun that is. It's very kind of demure, very mindful. But it does give a fun texture, and it is so interesting to look at those little splatters. So I'm having a lot of fun with those splatters. All right, more fun watercolor paper. This is from Hobby Lobby. No biggie. One of my favorite pattern paper packs that Hobby Lobby sells. It's called watercolor paper. And look at how beautiful that looks BetterPressed. Stunning, fast. The same paper from the same pack, different color. These are my plans for these two. I will show you at the end what I do with these. I don't think I put it on camera, but I had some fun with some Hero Arts splatter. Did not film it though, so I'm sorry. But this purple one on top there, I will be showing you at the end what I do with that fun panel. It's going to be kind of crazy, so buckle up. But here are two more that I glimmered and used the stencil. These are going to be in some upcoming videos, so be sure to subscribe and see what happens to those lovely panels. All right, I have a collection from Spellbinders that just came out in February, my second collection, called Justine's Farm. And I'm using those two sentiments, have a beautiful day, to add to those panels. But enough about that. Let's get into the mixed media funness of this one. I'm using one of the stencils from the stencil of the month, and I'm going to use two more lunar paste colors. I'm using Crown Me, which is purple, and then I'm going to go in and make it even more exciting with some Prom Queen, which is a hot pink color. I just love the Prom Queen color. They also have coordinating inks with Simon Hurley's products, so very fun and super, super shiny. So I'm not using my Altenew stamp wheel sticky mat for this one. I was feeling a little bit crazy and rogue in my craft room, so I just kind of did whatever I was feeling at the time, and I ended up taping my panel here to my stencil with a teeny bit of some Best Ever craft tape from Spellbinders. And that should do. I'll just hold it down. It's going to be kind of a messy situation anyway, so I don't even care if it moves or shifts because it's just giving some texture to my background. I'm using my finger and smushing it, going from the top left to the bottom right. Just giving a little bit of movement to my piece here. Nothing fancy. I'm not even going to wash my finger because the pink and purple are going to blend together. Ooh, look at that. Mixing those two colors together makes such a pretty color, and I'm just obsessed with this pink. It's so hot, like hot pink. Paris Hilton, that's hot. It is hot. Very, very bright, almost like a neon pink. Okay, there's the little peel and reveal. I'm not doing the whole thing. It's just for some texture. Remember, we're feeling mixed media here with this project. And then I'm going to take my finger and just smush a little bit of that Prom Queen on the edges as like a dirty smush, I would call it. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's not supposed to be anything but just like a smush. We are just making texture and color and getting shimmery pink on the back. Just kind of all over. Really no rhyme to the reason. And this cleans up so easily. So I just washed my hands and we're all good. Now I'm adding this BetterPress flower that I have BetterPressed like last summer. And I've been using these flowers on a lot of things. So I wanted to make it a little bit extra funky and add some glitter gel pen to it. So I did add a little bit of glitter gel pen. So I will put my card base right onto my card front onto my piece. I'm going to use more of that metallic thread from DMC. Take some foam, and then this is going to lock in that thread by just putting the flower on top of it with some foam. I'm not gluing the thread as of now, and it is locked in. Now some of these big swirls here, I am just going to use a little bit of glue and just kind of press it down gently so they don't get pulled off of the card, just in case I don't use this card myself and I give it to someone else to give or sell it. So the thread, it won't come off. Just a little dabble do. Dippity do, just a little dabble do. Alrighty. The mom is glimmered with some pink glimmer foil, and then the Forever My Role Model is also glimmered with white glimmer. I'm adding some fun embellishments. These pink hearts were from Pink and Maine. I did pick out 3 hot pink ones to kind of go with the prom queen color. And then I'm going to pop 2 of these big pearls onto the card as well, just as a fun little sparkle. And then I'm adding some metallic paint pen and some Wink of Stella to the flower. I wanted just to give even more sparkle and texture to this card. I'm still fairly new with the whole mixed media of it all, but I've been trying to get better at it and using more of my supplies and just playing and making a mess, and I think it's working out pretty well. Now I'm going to test my color here on some green cardstock or post-it note, and then I'm just going to make little dots all over, and then I'll go on to the actual flower itself and just deepen some of the lines to make the flower petal look even more sparkly and have some more depth. I also did add some green gel pen to the leaves of the flower and the stem. I did not have that on camera, but just figured I would save you a few seconds because this video is already over an hour, so there's that. If you're watching all the way to the end, comment below the word shiny flower. Shiny flower, words shiny flower, and I will know that you've watched all the way to the end of this part. Let's start off strong with my mother's beautiful birthday card. It is with the stitched and the large die and the glimmer and some glimmer sentiment from my stash. Super fun. I bet that will be my mom's favorite. Okay, let's stick on the theme of stitching. Here's my golfing card, a fun Father's Day one. Then we have some more stitching, little American style, happy retirement style card. And then let's do the big one, the slimline. Love that with the 3D embossing folder and some Copic coloring. Remember, I have everything linked in the description, so if you're looking for something specific, let me know. And if I didn't get something, let me know and I will let you know what it is. My little dinosaur card, super fun. Here's my large die card. I do have a Facebook group called Stationery Maker Group where you can share your makes and your cards and creations, scrapbook layouts, whatever, paper crafting, you know, with me. I would love to see what you make. It's a great place to share your styles, your ideas, your makes with different products. It does not have to be Spellbinders related. It can be from any reputable card or paper crafting company. I just happen to love Spellbinders still very much, but there's also other companies that I love and support as well. And you're welcome to share those on that group. I've really had fun with this month's clubs. I am just blown away. Sometimes I see clubs and I go, wow, those are pretty nice, you know, great. And then I start working with them and I just become super inspired once I get them in my little crafty hands. And that is what happened with this month. And I keep going back to my stash, pulling out fun things like that stitching die, some fun embellishments. There's a lot going on here this month. Mixed media, lots of sparkle, lots of wedding themed cards. I told you that I would tell you about this one with some Hero Arts splatter. So this was a new addition to my craft room. I brought it in January. If you didn't know, Spellbinders is now, like, well, let me rephrase. Hero Arts was bought by Spellbinders, so I grabbed this when this went on the Spellbinders website from Hero Arts, but I made this fun splatter. This is a very fun and quick way to get white splatter onto cards. If you pick this up, I will just recommend you doing like a few test sprays just so you see how it comes out It is super easy to add white splatter to projects though, so I definitely recommend grabbing this if white splatter is something that you like to do. All right, and here is my last, nope, not my last card. I love it, this BetterPress plate. It is just so pretty and it looks stunning glimmered. Another wedding one. Now, this is a mound of cards. I still have one here with the regular embossing stencil. Well, it's a stencil for the embossing folder. And then I have all of these that I'm going to turn into some fun projects later this month. So again, subscribe so you can see what I do with these. This would be a great time to pick a favorite, and I would like to take a second to thank you for watching all the way to the end of this video. If you have, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, comment your favorite card, and I will just give you crafty hugs from afar. We'll see you next time. Bye, crafty friend.